party and their policies concerning refugees and migrant workers. Now the migrant working group, the coalition for the rights of refugee and stateless persons, and the reporters, particularly Tapani Yesishai, will be one of the MCs, and we have the participation from migrant workers, Myanmar Response Network, Burma Concern, and Cow Samiti. And I hope today's event will achieve its objective. In these issues will become more prominent. These migrant populations will become a more prominent issue in the future. Thank you, Putani. Um, Thank you, Putani, for the director of the fort. We are waiting for Jan Srichai. We are wasting time. We will have the organizers, the coalition for the rights of refugees and stateless persons, and she will be presenting the situation of refugees and migrant workers in Thailand. Adison Mongkon from Migrant Working Group will be speaking after her on the same topic. Sorry for the rather hot climate. Gitapon will be presenting her
So at the moment, there are three groups, three types of the refugees in Thailand. Like first is the refugees who are living in the refugee camp in Myanmar, like in the 9 camps along the border in Thai Myanmar. Though it's called like a temporary shelter, but they have been living in Thailand since like 1980s. And due to the unrest in Myanmar, like they're still living in the refugee camps. And next is about the like refugees who try to sort of urban refugee who try to receive the refugee status from like from UNHCR, that they are from like different parts of the world, like in the Middle East or in Africa or different countries. And next is the other refugee groups that are vulnerable groups, including the Uyghur, who we have found like in around like 2003 and around in the 2015, the Uyghur people who are including the young people, women and like men are deported to Turkey, and there are also like some hundreds of Uyghurs are staying in the detention center. That also the refugees who are like the Rohingya refugees and also the refugees from Myanmar who are detained in the detention center. And there are refugee and asylum seekers in Thailand due to the vulnerable situations and in their own original country, so they cannot return back to their country of origin. And another part is on also the resettlement of the refugee. The situation has been very difficult for the refugee to resettle in the third countries. Therefore, the sustainable solutions for refugees should be the reintegration into the Thai society. But the situation at the moment is Thai government doesn't accept, and Thai government only let them wait to either for the resettlement or to return into their original country. That make them to their rights to be violated, and also to be forcibly deported. Yeah. And also the memorandum of understandings, MOU ATP, memorandum of understanding for alternative to detention, that signed by the immigration bureaus, and also the Ministry of Social Development and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and also Royal Thai Police, that allows the refugees children to be living in the community. And also recently there has been the also the part on the cabinet solutions on the that allows the people who are refugees, and also the asylum seekers, or who are displaced people, that allow them to have registrations. And the other regulation is the also the forced disappearance law, act, that include the non-refoulements, not forcible displacements or deportation for the refugees or displaced people. This is the laws and regulations and the measures that Thai government try to solve or try to address the refugee and displaced peoples in Thailand. And we hope that the elections on 14th of May this year would be very important for the fate of the refugees and asylum seekers or displaced people in Thailand in the future.
We have about 2 million migrants in Thailand, and about 1.9 million of them are registered. 50,000 of them are the MOU workers. Many of them are border temporary workers. They spread into different key industrial sectors, agricultural sector, food production. The problems found recently is compared between March and April, about 500,000 have missing out from the system. Basically, they become undocumented. And about 500,000 of them become undocumented. And if they cannot renew their visa, if they cannot extend their work permits, that will make it a big problem, because they've been delayed by the Burmese bureaucracies. And the situation in Myanmar also triggers more influx of migrant workers, and the Thai policies to import MOU workers has been declining due to a lot of delay through the bureaucratic process. Another key challenge is the long-term solutions following the COVID pandemic. Many of the cabinet resolutions have been passed, 17 of them in a year, to address the problem temporarily. We really lack long-term solutions. We really lack durable solutions. So we place our hope on political parties to come up with long-term strategy, long-term solutions. The first question is how can we achieve these durable long-term solutions? So it depends on which parties control the Ministry of Labor. Number two, delay in the sending countries, delay in the bureaucracies there, how that delay in issuing the passport. So if so, we will have hundreds of thousands of workers become documented by this May. So this so it's very important that these government agencies have to do their jobs and not put away their job, not push the burden to the employers. From the employer's perspective, right now the cost of hiring migrant workers is about 15,000 baht per one migrant worker, which is relatively high for the employers. That's quite a challenge for them. Number two, we cannot retain the existing migrant workers. They often miss out from the system or become undocumented. So there should be legal measures to retain these migrant workers. More options to be legally registered must be provided. And because the MOU is not really a durable solution, and there should be other measures. The last two issues is the role of Thailand in the region, in the Mekong sub-region. For example, what would be our positions, as far as the situation in Myanmar is concerned, the ramification, the influx of refugees from Myanmar, and how that affected, border communities in Thailand, in Mesot, and how I just that there hasn't been any clear and robust management of this border migration, and a lack of coordination also make these refugees vulnerable in terms of many challenges, and the impacts can be felt on Thailand as to how to deal with this human smuggling and also communicable diseases at the border area. Number two, the sensitivity of trafficking in persons and the child labor. Number three, the last one is measures to regulate Thai investment in Myanmar, in neighboring countries investment, because Thai businesses have invested in large scale development projects, and many of the projects are involved with human rights violations, environmental destruction, and water shortage. And also this haze problem, the air pollution, the haze problem caused by corn plantation. Excuse me. So the impacts are more prominent, more pronounced, and there hasn't been any due diligence to assess the impact. And no, and litigations against these businesses are far and few between. For example, there's one Thai company being sued, but we found that the laws concerning investment in neighboring country are very weak in Thailand. So we hope that political parties will help to come up with some legal measures to hold accountable this corporation to regulate Thai investments in Myanmar. So thank you, Adison and Kitiporn, um, for um, um, now we are going to have Professor Surishai Wankeo to give an opening address. He's from the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, Chulalongkorn University. I'm honored to be part of today's event. Thailand, well, this election is quite a big event for the people. It is a very vitally important opportunity, and it's good to meet many familiar faces here, or some of you are new, but I believe all of you are willing to be part of the future of this country. So I welcome all of you, and I pass the whole on the election. I hope it will bring, it will help to make Thailand's leadership uh, stronger. The kind of leadership that give hope, the kind of leadership that help to tackle, resolve problems from the existing bureaucracies, the kind of leadership that it's about innovation of management, because many of the innovations have been proposed by civil society. Well, a little bit from the bureaucracy, and uh, first it's about national security. The term national security or global security, they, as the previous speaker said, even air pollution is already a cross-border issue. We cannot blame we cannot blame just small people who forage in the forest. We need to talk about this corporate responsibility, CSR, the UN guiding principle on research and human rights, which hasn't been strongly implemented, and how um, and we cannot just blame it all, or we cannot just blame it all on these small farmers, small peasants who for this air pollution, the existing one. And now we have the climate victims. Sadly, many ethnic peoples have been taking the blame. Um, Human security has become a very important principle. We have this Ministry of Human Security, but this human security is not yet well established. And so I hope this election will help to strengthen many of these infrastructures to uphold human security, the air, the climate, and think that's and that national security does not just uh, it has to be involved with many other issues. And for another issue, uh, it's not that the action here cannot just rely on what we will do. This is what we are. The world is watching us, and we need to. And now the stock market also try to reform itself. Yeah, they pay more attention to how investments are made in neighboring countries, and after all, the strength of civil society, the groups that help to organize today's event, is very important, and it is important that um, we ensure, because Thailand's bureaucracy is too centralized, yeah, infested with corruption, and until we uh, we cannot walk gracefully. So I really pin my hope on this election, and on today's event, that I hope that the universities should also be collaborating more with young people, the younger generation, to make it more hopeful for our society. And we should not criminalize people, put people in jail. That won't solve the problem. Thank you, Ajahn Srichai Wankeo, for I good afternoon, our friends and our friends and uh, hmm? Our friends and distinguished guests, and we are the room is quite crowded, and so we thank the representative from the 11 political parties, and proud to them. Our forum is all the Thai political party roundtable and their policies regarding refugees and migrant workers. I'm glad that representatives from the 11 political parties have agreed to come, to so many of them, that make our venue look very cramped today. And it's like it's like we are clamped in a pickup truck, in which many migrants have been smuggled here with a wasting time. So I will introduce the speakers. I'm very glad. I've been covering issues of refugees for more than 20 years. Until now, only NGOs and civil society pay attention to the issue. In very few instances, political parties pay their attention to this issue. We have former deputy prime minister, even the prime ministerial candidate, one of the grand old parties, many of them. There's this diversity of parties here in the democratic climate. On my left, on my left, we have Panit Pawarangkun from the Communist Party, Executive Communist of the Communist Party, and yeah, could you move a bit forward? Right. Yeah, Panit Pawarangkun, the executive committee from Communist Party. Next, Mr. Chaturan Sang, party list candidate from Pheu Thai Party. Kiet Sithiamorn, also party list candidate, Democrat Party. And right. Next, Varanai Vanishaka, the advisor from the Chat Patana Party, Dr. Paramet, the spokesperson of Chat Thai Patana, Kanlawi Sup Sang from the Fair Party, also party list candidate, Nada Shaichit from the Equality Party, also MP candidate, party list MP candidate, T, Sitha Tiwari, the of prime ministerial candidate from Thai Sang Thai, Chris Potananand from the Sendai Party. Next, Chontisha Jangrel, MP candidate, Move Forward Party, Awissarat, the party leader of Pheu Chat, also prime ministerial candidate, the Nation Party. Uh, So in the first round, since we have 11 of you here, in the first round, each of you will have 5 minutes. And in the second round, it will be Q&A where you can take your time to entertain questions either from the floor or the organizers. And each of you can introduce your party, can speak about anything, concerning the topics, today's topic. Um, right. Some, right. We want, yeah, please only limit it to 5 minutes in the first round. Um, we will start from Kun Panit from the Communist Party to introduce the party or what? We are at the Communist Party. We have three policies: fair grassroots democracy, fairness grassroots democracy, and human rights. And for migration issues, I like to say that migration happens since ancient time, is not something new, and 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 it has engendered social interaction, and the migrants from Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, they came here more than 30 years ago, but the Thai state has hardly, look after them properly. The migrant workers are pretty key factors for economic development in Thailand, and the migration. I think migration should be transparent, without discrimination, and inclusive. Yeah, that it should be inclusive, um, with participation from the migrant workers themselves. As for the in ASEAN, um, for the Communist Party, ASEAN must adopt policy not to import migrant workers because they are not commodities. They should come here. It should be transparent. They should be treated as human beings, and they should be viewed as, paying key contribution to the country. I came from Chiang Mai, and migrant workers is a big issue there in Chiang Mai. I used to discuss with many of these migrant workers in Chiang Mai, and many of them complained about the renewal of their visa, the extension of their visa, or lack of papers, given language barrier or the problem from the officers. So illegal entry still occurs, and is can be resolved by making this process transparent. Regionally, for the Communist Party, we think that the government must adopt an active approach to involve the sending countries in exploring the solutions of this migrating population, and for the international community. Thailand should welcome refugees because they are fellow human beings, and we must affirm these human rights principles. Hmm?
So next, with Khun Chaturon Chai Sang. Thank you. I would like to congratulate to the organizer, like to organize this event. In the election, this kind of issue is not really promoted much, but it is very important issue. And I really am very pleased that the role of Thailand in the international community is very low in the past 8 to 9 years. And as what Ajahn Surichai has mentioned about the international role and like foreign policies of Thailand is really based on the bureaucratic polity. It is very important part. But in the past 8 to 9 years, what really problem is about it has been really formulated and designed by the authoritarian bureaucratic government, and that makes Thailand cannot really communicate, cannot really relate, have the strong relationships with the democratic countries, and make Thailand being closer to the more authoritarian regimes or authoritarian countries, especially Myanmar. And this law in the Thai foreign policies that also relate to the security and the policy on the human rights. And the way of Thailand, like is also become the barriers of for the international organizations or international communities to provide the support to the refugees or vulnerable group of populations, and it also being the obstacles for Thailand to really invest or really find the economic benefit for the neighboring countries. The first thing for the Pheu Thai's party policy, we need to also respect the human rights and human dignity according to the international standard, universal human rights, and we will not repeat the same mistake as the previous government. That, for example, the case of Russia and Ukraine, and we need to respect the territorial integrity or sovereignties. We shouldn't really agree on like one country to invade the other country. And in terms of Myanmar, we have policies to follow the international obligations, and we need to really comply to the 5-point consensus from the ASEAN in the case of Myanmar, and we have to promote the democracy in Myanmar and also reduce the violence in Myanmar, and we need to facilitate the process for international communities, foreign governments, and also international organizations to provide the support for the Myanmar people who are residing in Thailand. In terms of the economics policy, we need to open the space for FTA for the EU and UK. In terms of the policy on migrant workers, this the Pheu Thai party would like to promote the migrant workers to play the roles in the economy of Thailand, and we have to respect the human rights of the migrant workers. The system that provide or take care of for the migrant workers since the military government is the exploitative system for the migrant workers and also business owners, and a lot of profits like come to some of the officials. And like, for example, there's a case of some of the people that you said like they have to pay libraries for 15,000. It's not really. It's some people need to pay for 20 to 30,000 baht, and it costs like all of this system. It costs like several billions baht, and we have to respect to the fundamental rights and freedoms of the migrant workers. When I was the deputy prime minister, I also try to work and promote on the rights of the stateless people, and that I had collaboration with the academics communities in Thailand, and like I proposed the change of the regulations to the National Security Councils, And also the National Security Council also submit these regulations to cabinet for cabinet resolutions. That makes all students in Thailand, regardless of their status and their legal status and nationalities, can study in Thailand. That's also what I have done. Thank you very much. Next, if
I now we have here the team one from the Democrat Party. So good afternoon and thank you the different organizations for making possible today's event and um, and for inviting many people to speak on the issue. Thank you. For the Democrat Party, it's clear. Well, when you say people getting older, they might not be old. They simply have more experience, and when Thailand must stand with dignity in international community, we cannot be a defensive country. We need to adopt a foreign policy on and a proactive and offensive manner. When I was in power, I used to propose to create this global chamber of commerce. Since we are part of the world, we are part of hundreds of political parties, and I was the deputy chair of that network of international political parties. This issue has been discussed widely internationally, and for the issue today, the neighboring countries, influx of refugee, what would be our position? Clearly, we are a part of the United Nations, and there are many existing rules and regulations. For example, for when people came here, when the migrants came here, this non-refoulement, non-refoulement means, we cannot push them back. We cannot push them back to a dangerous, situation. What happened in Myanmar, where the House Speaker Chun Lik-pai has sent a letter to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, you know, telling him that don't, don't allow Thailand to be viewed as unwelcoming to these refugees. This is about the non-refoulement principle. We are part of this thing since 1951. It's about migration. We share thousands of kilometers of the border, eh, to thousands of them with Myanmar. So it's inevitable that people came in illegally. So number one, if they came here legally to work, then if there is any problem and too many requirements, we should solve them. We should. I also used to work abroad in many countries, and Thailand is not really a bad country in this regard. For example, in South Korea, there are hundreds of thousands Thai people working there. Only 20% of them work there legally. So second, they came here temporarily, due to abnormal situation, um, explosion, bomb attack. A lot of them came at the same time within, but a week later they may want to return home. Then we should help to repatriate them, or if they didn't want, if they're unwilling to return, they want to resettle elsewhere, then I have raised the issue with the international community, with the United Nations. Our countries have to be involved. Thailand cannot be dictated to do anything. You should say what you can help Thailand deal with this problem. The messaging to international community is you're not ready to send personnel to help. Send us money. You cannot just dictate us. You cannot point your finger and say we should do what you want us to do. Rohingyas are left here, abandoned here. How could you order us to take them in? Give us money, give us resources, give us people to deal with the Rohingya. Otherwise, don't tell us to do anything. It's not us alone to deal with this problem. We must adopt this offensive foreign relations policy, and we cannot be defensive. We have to be offensive. And for Myanmar, because I used to issue public statements, they executed politicians. This crossed the line. This really crossed the line, and ASEAN is too weak because he is a friend of mine. I used to attend a meeting with him. That politician who was executed. We must take a stronger stand. Yeah, and there will be more migration due to environmental problems too. And I will discuss corporate roles and investment in the next round.
So in the next will be the Chapanaka party. Thank you. I would like to speak in first 5 minutes to discuss, and next 5 minutes will be discussed on the problem. What is the problem, and why the refugees or distressed peoples are because the Rohingya refugees they have to flee from the genocide from the origin countries because they don't have the rights in Thailand, and Thai government doesn't really care about their human rights, human trafficking, because they become the victim of trafficking, and they cannot really work in Thailand. And who benefit from this? The first one is about the capitalists, and they can really exploit the migrant workers every a lot of small, to pay a small amount of money. You can call to Australia to ask about the general province, police general province, and all the human trafficking and migration is related to the government officers, who, especially security officers, who can really fight on that. For those who try to fight on that, they have to be free away from the country. Why human rights become the problems in Thailand? And if the constitutions and the Thai governments are based follow the human rights principles, there will not be such a problems. You can see that, if you look at the constitutions, there are a lot of things around, orders, and also the and moralities in Thai society. What is about morality in Thai society? What is the goodness in Thai society? What is the ethics and moralities? And the security and order, what is that? To arrest of the young people, hundreds of young people, is this the order and law and order and security of the Thai state or not? That's problems, because the Thai society, Thai state, doesn't really follow the human rights principles. Even the Thai citizens has been exploit has been violated like this. What what do you think about the foreigners, about the like non-Thai citizens? Thank you very much. So, thank you for Chai Thai Phatana Party. Uh, we have the policies on Wow Thailand. It's a wealth opportunity and welfare for all. Uh, about the migrant workers and migrant corporations, they have really support the economy and also the welfare of Thai state. And actually, I have quite limited knowledge uh, on the our policy on welfare for all. Uh, right. We know that
Right now, the solutions tend to focus on mental conditions and uh, because I grew up in Ubon Ratchathani, bordering Laos, um, there are cases. Um, I when I met the people from Myanmar, Cambodia, or Laos, we felt we are this kinship among us, and and with dignity, we need to welcome them. We need to enhance that dignity and making them feel that they're meeting their kins, their relatives here. We are, many several parties talks about raising the labor wage, but undeniably, these pay rights will will be a pulling factor for migrant workers. But after they left for COVID, it's difficult for them to return. Many economies have been driven by these migrant workers. The war in Vietnam, South Korea, Japan. These migrant workers, they do not take away job from us. They take over these essential jobs and they help to drive our economy. And so this policy should be held and adopted. And and the reason I'm here because we want to develop policies that care for the workers better and what about the students' right and how there's legal loopholes that uh, I used to. I cannot say that I want to combat anything, but there must be regulatory guillotine and Mm. The rights of the child have gone, and this digital technology might help with registration, civil registration. Then many parties have to brainstorm together. We are not. We don't need one single hero to do this. We must talk with different countries, and we have online platform to provide education to them. And and I'm here because I want to listen to policies about migrant workers, and it's just very important.
Next is Gandavi from Pentam Party, and thank you for the organizers. Today is very good day for those who wireless, especially the refugees and migrant workers, and their voice hasn't been heard from the political parties yet. At first, we need to look at address at the structure issues of the migrant workers and the refugees, where we need to look at the standpoint from the diplomatic standpoint. What is the standpoint of the Thailand in the diplomacies? We only see the irregular migrations as the security threats, as the threats to the national security or state securities. When we look at in this way, we use a lot of security lens to that, and we make the people who are not really Thai citizens and have the illegal migrations become threats. So we need to change the lens or mindset of the people who have the irregular migrations, irregular migrants to have human rights and human base. If we look at when we see the survey in the 2020, around we have the around 2.2 million people from our neighboring countries, like from Cambodia, Myanmar, and Vietnam, and Myanmar. So 91% of these migrant workers are in Thailand. And if we look at these migrants as a threat, we cannot really solve any problems. So therefore, we need to change the paradigms of how we deal with the illegal migrations to be more humanized based, not the security based. And in the past 30 years, you can see that Thai state has managed the migrant workers as for the security policy or for securitizations. But the framework of to deal with the migrant workers, we have to look at 4 parts. One part is the welfare, the housings, the health, and also we have to consider the violations against the migrant workers. We need to consider these 4 issues, 4 parts, and so that we will not look at the migrant workers as the security threats anymore. And for the case of refugees, similarly, like we see refugee as a threat to the state security. We just say how many refugees in Thailand? Actually, in terms of the legality, there is no refugee in Thailand because the Thai state hasn't really ratified the refugee convention. When we say around 91 thousands of refugees, so many generations who are living along the Thai and Myanmar borders. Like we can see that we were like uh, in our house for like a few months. We were very difficult already, but these people has been uh, in the refugee camps for several years. It's not about like providing their food, their shelters to solve the problem for refugee is not only the humanitarian issues, but we have to look at the nexus between the human rights and humanitarians, and also the development. We have to uh, have the sustainable solutions, starting from the emergency issues and organize the nexus between the humanitarian and development. As we know that the refugee from Myanmar are living in Thailand for more than 40 years already. We cannot really leave them staying there. We have to look at the education, their welfare, their securities. We have to link this humanitarian to the development. And you have to believe me, the issues of the refugees, like more than 90,000 refugees, or Rohingya refugees, or the Uyghurs refugees who were living in the uh, detention centers. This problem will be solved, and we have and there's a lot of those displaced people who are uh, from Myanmar can be living in Thailand in the future. We have to raise these migrant worker issues to be the national agenda. If it become national agenda, we can really create the policies and laws that support the migrant workers.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Next, Nada Chayvich from the Equality Party, from as a transgender and a- as a human rights lawyer. I enter political field because I am a skeptic of the existing policies I am a skeptic of the government's sincerity. We are a small party. We cannot cope with this problem by ourselves. And by ratifying any convention, it needs, some concession from other political parties. At least we need to agree that agree whether or not we want to ratify to remove the reservations on the Convention of the Rights of the Child, because this reservation on Article 22 is a reservation that impedes the rights of the child the student migration, the child migrants. Now, because for the ICCPR or the ICESCR, we haven't yet implemented our obligations. Our situation only improved when we were downgraded to the third tier in the TIP. We have to be criticized. We have to be the investors have to find a slash of their tuna export, then we will want to cooperate. So what we can do now, if the equality party can win a seat in the parliament, we will really push for this, because once they form a government, they often claim Thailand is not ready, or if we the term review has been done, has been said many a time that we need to view the policy first. Number two, our domestic laws. If we ratify the conventions, we need to ensure our domestic law comply with its international obligations. I study law, but I'm a bit puzzled how successive governments have made this migration issue very complicated. We are part of the ASEAN community, and we are part of this social, economic, and cultural caucus. Um, be, because if we respect rights of the workers, we cannot we cannot say we respect human rights by segregating against migrant workers. We have many experts. We have the parliamentary mechanisms. These standing committees must invite migrant workers to sit as a member to listen to them. Have we given them enough space to speak? Have we heard them enough? So um, we have to say this candidly. I've been in civil society for more than 15 years. So, and this national action plan, the NAP, the National Economic, the human rights plan is only something, is only a gimmick, something that we submit our report to the UN International Committee. So for the Equality Party, we want to upgrade our national human right plan, making it a grade A, and we must have laws to require human right due diligence for all investments from Thailand. We have to stop catering to the investors. We have to make policies to meet the people's demands.
So next is the Sita Tiwari. So now it's the Pinta. Okay. So in terms of the human rights, it's very important. And we talk about Thailand in the international communities, global communities. Where is the Thailand in the for the human rights? Yes, we got the fan here, and like fan has been disappeared now, and a lot of us become hot, like we getting hot, and it's just this like we are suffer, but we can see like we can feel that how the refugees can suffering in the like difficult circumstances. We talk about I will talk about three issues. First is about the standpoint in the international communities in terms of the human rights. Secondly, is how Thailand should be response, and third is the uh, attitudes and standpoints of the leaders in Thailand. The first thing is about the international standards, because all around the world in global society, we since history throughout the history, like people are moving all around. Like firstly, uh around like 100,000 years ago, like we start like our humanity start in African continent, and we move to different parts all over the world later in the past. And many people move due to the different reasons. Uh, they might be minorities, or they might leave because of the wars. And this thing like is about might be account to around 1 or 2%. But most of the people like in the global community, we look at which countries have the problems. The first country, and we move to the second country. The second country is the approximate country to the, and next is the third country is the. So in the, like we have 99% of the people who living quite well-to-do, and we have to take care of the 1% of those people who need to leave because of leave their own country of origin because of the wars and their sufferings. We need to have the democracies to discuss, to talk with the country of origins, the government of country of origins, like they shouldn't violate the human rights. And we can see around like 10 to 20 millions of people. The second country, the country of transit country, they might not be able to receive the migrants or refugee populations, and they might not be able to provide the shelters like in the long run. So next, like if the transit country cannot take care of the refugees much, like they need to get support, like financial support from international communities. For example, the case of Bangladesh. If we can really allocate resources like this, like we can solve the problems. As I mentioned, like the first country, origin, the second country, the transit country, and the third country, the other countries. In Thailand, like we have this first disappearance law act, and this law that has been enacted by the parliament. So it's just it has been postponed for its implementations for the next following like 6 months. In terms of next, about the attitude of the leaders, like of the country leaders, we can see like in the case of the Myanmar Air Force to invade to the Thai territory, Thai borders, and also the bombings in the Elawan case. During the time like was under the military government, and this only said like that it's because of the opposition parties. But I heard from the police, they said it's come from it may be because of the case that Uyghur has been deported to China, and like there may be some people who like because you say like in the Elawan area, in one junction, there some group of people a lot, and like there might be want to organize this violence against the people, like the foreigners, and the country leaders who really violate the human rights didn't really send their candidates or their representatives to discuss about human rights issues in this event, to listen voice from the people, voice from the NGOs. They have really the NGO, the civil society has really studied, has really worked on these problems a lot. I have the advisors like on this, for example, the Nada and Nongkan, who really teach me a lot uh, about the human rights. They really give me about a lot of inputs and insights. I really believe that Pentam and also some and equality parties would be really, we have the same in common principles and common values. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you,
คุณ
Kun
สิทธา
Sitha. And there will be more questions for you. Next is Chris from Sendai Party. I'm glad that our political parties, the other two parties, we did invite them, but the other the pro-military parties, the two of them, seem not to be sympathetic to fellow human beings. For Sendai Party, we have three concepts. Number one, we want to do away with all this corruption. Number two, we want to take national interests. Number three, we adhere to democratic principles. We cannot be a democracy without adhering to human rights. This is a big issue. Um, because personally, I'm a lawyer and I used to be a migrant worker working in the USA. And I have caused committing illegal offenses and um, we need to first hope that these 2.5 million migrant workers, well, in fact, it could be reached up to 3-4 million migrant workers. At least we have 1 to 5 million migrant workers. Yes, they do not stay here free of charge. They do pay the police. They are 1,000 baht a month. So why don't we convert this money into, taxes, into public revenue? Yeah, this 1,000 baht a month. We talked about 30,000, 30,000 million baht, 30 billion baht a month. And then that's enough to be used for other purposes. So we need to look at the laws that create problems and the CIA certificate of identity that each migrant has to have, yeah, for 5,000 baht just to acquire this CI from the Myanmar authority, and another 10,000 for the fee, and 5,000 for medical checkup and insurance. So it's about 20,000 baht per one migrant worker. Have have there not been any political parties come up with measures to address the issue? Um, this is quite a big money. So um, we we need to look at this issue and see if we can, put them on the table. How much money can we collect from them? How can we turn it illicit fees into public revenue? They are here not free of charge. In fact, they are here. They can be the future for this aging country, aging society, and we have, fewer and fewer working age population. So Sendai has been discussing that maybe we have these migrant workers pay taxes 10 to 15 years, after which they can take a test if they are Thai literacy, and if they've been behaving well, they should be given permanent residency. They should be given permanent residency. And this that but our existing law is pretty crazy. Why don't we talk about this? Why don't we find a long-term solution? And most importantly, about these refugees. Thailand used this boot camp system to treat refugees, whereas the other country use the judiciary, because in the other country you have to prove to the court that you are facing dangers, that you are facing persecution, and that you have run away from wars. Eh, And but in Thailand, people it really depends on the security forces. They can determine people who can stay in the temporary shelters, but we cannot place our hope on these security agencies. At least we should use the court system to decide. We should let them prove their case. If they really are asylum seekers, they should be given such status. And this we should adopt this universal policy. If we it is how we want to be treated, and we want to treat people.
Next is with Kun Chantisha from Future Forward Move Forward Party. I'm a MP candidate from Pathum Thani province. In my area, there are a lot of migrant workers, and it is very good opportunity for me to discuss on this issue. At the beginning, I would like to discuss about the situation at the moment. We have to accept that, have to admit that the issue on the migrant workers and refugee has been worldwide. For example, in the case of India or Bangladesh, there's a case that like internal displaced people due to the global warming, also the the investments projects that affect on the environment issues and like making people displaced within the country. And in the as the organizer has discussed, has said, like it is not the new things in Thailand. It has been like for 30 to 40 years. We have like a 9 refugee camps along the Thai and Myanmar border, which around like 90,000 people. And unfortunately, sadly speaking, it's like we don't have any laws on this issue. Another issue that I'd like to share is that I have discussed with some friends who are working on the refugee issue from Myanmar. And yesterday there was the fightings at the border in Mesot in Pak province, and there's around like 30,000 people who are displaced due to the fightings along the border between Myanmar government, Myanmar military, and armed groups. And but Thai government doesn't have any clear-cut policies to deal with these issues. It's only like depends on the situation. This is the key problem, the first problem. And as I myself, as the candidate of Khao Kai Party, the Move Forward Party, to solve the issues of refugees and migrant workers, we have to focus on the foreign policy and the framework of foreign policy that we are using now. It's not really relevant to the changing context in the global communities that we are under the globalized world and digital world, and where there's an acceleration of people moving in the many places, and also a lot of investments from the global government, the global community. If we don't really touch or address this issue, it will be very difficult to solve the issue on refugees and migrant workers. The ways for solutions, our recommendation is that first, we need to have the focus on the human rights, have the human rights-based approach to the foreign policies, not using the security approach. This is the first one. We have to change the paradigms. Secondly, we need to review the non-interventions principles in ASEAN. This issue is become the loopholes for the human rights violation in the neighboring countries or within the country. So in ASEAN, we just only turn the eye by for our neighbors, like who violates the human rights to their own populations or populations others. And thirdly, we need to change the mindsets of the on the police, like on the foreign policies. We shouldn't employ the secret policy. Like we should like be transparent to cooperate with the foreign governments, not like having a secret news. For example, the uh, case of forced disappearance of the activists from our neighboring countries, like from 2014 until like 2019, like there also like there are a lot of activists uh, from Laos, from Vietnam, and from China. It's not only the disappearance of the activists from the neighboring countries, but also the case of the Thai activists who were, especially after uh, the coup in 2014, seven of the Thai activists were forced to disappear, and two of them like we found that that corpse, the dead body in the Mekong river. And there's also the harassment, human rights violation against the and harassments against the activists from the like who are from neighboring countries. We need to change the mindset at first in terms of the foreign policies. This is the key issue. So next, I would like to I will discuss about the ratification of the international laws or amendment of the laws that relate to the refugees
Okay.
and migrant workers.
Now we
Thank you
have
very much.
Hi from Persian Party. Hi, Parvisarat, the party leader. Persian, I'm a lawyer and political field. Now, we are concerned about democracy, inclusivity, public participation, and human rights. What is what we want to do first is to show our sincerity by ratifying, signing international human rights, the enforced disappearance, the rights of the child, to show our commitment, our sincerity, of how we value human dignity, and that we aspire to protect people equally. Human rights are intrinsic. We are born with it, and we need to recognize human rights. And as a politician, I will, we humanly advocate for this and to ensure compliance with international conventions and to ensure its effective implementation regardless of their age, their religion. We are all global citizens and we should have the heart for fellow human beings. And these migrants should also have a say in any decision. They should they return to their country? Should they resettle elsewhere? They should have the say on to determine the cost of their right. For the Rohingyas, what are their mental traumas? They have to be separated from their families, from their hometown. Many women have been subject to rape, and you know how grieving they are. They they say even they say that they are willing even to be in our prison better than to return to their country, because if they are returned they could face something uncertain and they could die without people knowing it. So as a politician, I foresee this thing to happen. I foresee peace to happen, and this idea of security should, if you have the empathy with the people, nothing is too difficult to change, to solve. We can cooperate with the UNSCR. We can cooperate with international community. We don't need many, excuses. And about education, we place the importance on the education for Thai nationals and for people who come to reside here, because the skills can stay with them for life. And whether they remain here as migrant workers to drive our economy, where will we find the money? Of course, right now there are many illicit payment in Chiang Rai. There are many migrants. I came from Chiang Rai. I know that these migrant workers have to pay the lot in order to register themselves. So we do have the money to provide for their education, quality of life, or even food to guarantee that they don't stay hungry. This is the fundamental right that we should try to address, as a politician. And next, I have talked with the migrant working group and about these migrant workers and what the Persian party want to do. For example, if they stay here for longer than 10 years, they probably should have the right to vote. The, our party, the nation for the nation party, we do we pay attention to this. Thank you very much. Right. Today we have Kasipirom, the former minister for Foreign Affairs here, and he may join us sometimes. Um, Now there will be this Q&A. I have my question. Uh, on the issue concerning migrant workers, the role of Thailand's in international community. Um, First, I like to ask a question. Uh, you know, um, because we are about the rights of migrant workers, and do they have the rights equal to the Thai? Um, there was a poster sent to me. Um, the poster of a candidate, and the poster says, "Stop migrant workers from taking away jobs from Thai people." What is your views on migrant workers? Do you think that they are here to take away our jobs, or how should we treat them? Maybe who want to respond to this question? Okay. Um, maybe Kun Kiet can address this question. This about this poster first. That they are taking away jobs from us. Um, I I talked with the Thai person working in a French company. So supposing that I work in France and I am only the only one migrant worker in France, I didn't have work permit when I first stayed there. After 10 years, I had the work permits and I had the rights equal to French citizens. Well, back to our question in the Democrats Party's opinion. Um, Thai people do not have all the skills, and there are certain jobs that are not fit for the Thai. And other countries have a clearer policy to adopt migrant workers, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. They are very clear on what kind of people they want. If you have the degrees, then you can come because we are not at that level. The Ministry of Labor failed to discuss with the employers, or they failed to have that meeting to discuss. So, and most importantly, in the future, we need to improve the skills of our workers. Um, we done our own research. We need to collaborate with researchers from different countries. For example, in the United States, well, if you are world-renowned scientists, of course, they would accept you into the country. So um, so we need to ensure that my son worked in Canada as a pilot. He is I and they issue my son work permit. So basically, you have to have an employer and someone to help facilitate the process. But in Thailand, there are many people who are here illegally. They came to the agents, and there are good and bad people here. So we need to really regulate this. We have Thai people in Bahrain, in South Korea, but they cannot be there legally because the procedure is too complicated. They are too tight. So we can make it easier. What about the people who's accused that migrant workers are taking away jobs from one? Well, there's certain instances that because employers are happy to pay less to migrant workers, so uh, and I don't agree with this campaign. Right? Because they shouldn't think about paying less just to. This is not right for the
So
employers.
next, Kun Chachulon, what is your opinion about the migrant workers? So the Thai state and the security sectors and the business sectors have this perception that as really important factors for the economic development in during the past 25 to 30 years. like 25 years ago, I have a meeting with I attend a meeting between the security sectors and also the business sectors. Uh, 25 years and we have to legalize the migrant workers into the state system. Actually, it might be earlier before 25 years ago. And what we said that like the Thai state using the security paradigm against the migrant workers and seeing the migrant worker as a security threat, it might not be to that level, but the security but they use the security sector to be the one to manage migrant workers. But these security officers, they have the mindset to exploit the migrant workers and 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 to get the benefit from the business or business sectors. And with this, the mindset of the security officers, it as a consequence, it make the migrant workers to become very difficult, or they don't really facilitate the process and put the pressure to the migrant workers who are living like several hundred thousands of the migrant workers being in Thailand illegally. Basically, if it is very easy, because a lot of business sectors they want a lot of a large number of migrant workers, around like 400 to 600,000 people. Actually, it can work. It can be working. Like we can facilitate this. We need to change the law, change the regulations, and facilitate the process. And this really made this. If they're doing this, the briberies, the cost for briberies, that and like because there are a lot of briberies that the migrant worker has to pay at least like 20,000 baht, like along the process. To make this difficult, because the security officers or authorities can really make the profit from the briberies or from the corruptions. Like starting from the immigration bureaus officers or the uh, police or other officers involved. This is very old-fashioned, and the Thai, and actually like we have to do a lot of things related to. It's not really relevant to the system that we need the workforce or workers to really for the Thai economy to recover from the COVID, and also not relevant to the society, Thai society, that we are the aging society already. How we can really work together with the migrant workers and upskill the migrant workers. We only think about upskill of Thai workers, Thai laborers, but we need to we need to think all together, not just only the Thai workers, but also the migrant laborers too. And we have to take care of their human rights. We need to provide human rights, and these 500 or 600,000 of the migrant workers. That's even worse than the secondary citizens, second level citizens. And they have to pay the bribes or pay the bribes to the police, or they only have the below the second level citizen, because the way that security officers are trying to keep this status quo, because they want to benefit this. We need to make it legalize it, make them into the system, and to provide the protection for them. The security issues security issue is very. If we make it right, it will be the threat to the security officers because they will lose the benefit.
I like to follow up, right? Because this about this pink card, green card, this work permit, and it's about this 20,000 baht per one migrant worker to pay. It's, there's some extra money they have to pay in order to work here. I strongly agree with Jaturon. But there is one thing that I want to beg to differ. Um, the question is, are they here to take away our jobs? Well, if we still open, allowing them to come without any management, there will be a problem for sure. So at least we have to manage the existing 2.5 million migrant workers. We cannot even deal with it. They maybe they could be here 5 million something. So if we continue to open to allow them to come further, it will even make the problem more exacerbated. And what about the wage? Because the Thai workers' wage hit the limit because many of the migrant workers here, well, this demand, supply. When there is lot of supply, then the wage stagnates. The wage doesn't rise. So no countries allow workers to enter the country freely. Of course, we are liberal capitalism. Well, but even Thai people, when we want to work in South Korea, we need to apply, or we have to apply to work in the United. We are not against migrant workers. At least we need to shut down the border to deal with the existing problem, bring them into the system, and see how we can cope with it. We need we of course need these digital nomads. We but for workers, for the cheap labors, I'm not quite sure that we should welcome them anymore. Um, we dare not raise the pay because um that may hurt the employers who do not want to improve their technologies. So we need to look at what the Thai workers will get paid if we want to continue with this cheap labor.
So, like all workers are human beings. We are all human beings. We are brothers and sisters. The laborers and workers, like we don't really differentiate. Like as the human rights principles, like we see human as equally. Like we have the same dignity. We are in the same under the common law. We enforce the law in different layers. Now we treat those like skilled labor as an expat, but with like unskilled labor, like we really exploit them. ยศคุณรัตวันศรีวงศ์นะครับ she like คุณรัตวัน has worked in the during the when she was the Minister of Social Development. Like we try to work on like having the factory to have the nurseries. Like this is the welfare policy for the people, for the laborers. At the border area, like we have the way that we have the regional integration as ASEAN, because we want to level up our economies together. we should use the same legal system, same law for the both people, like Thai labor and migrant laborers. And we need to also to upskill the Thai laborers to be exports to the other countries. And for those who are working in the system, like migrant labor systems, and also with refugees, like we need to work on like having self-determination with them. They have to decide. They can decide that either they want to return to Myanmar, they want to resettle, or they want to reintegrate in the Thai society. If they want to reintegrate to Thai
So
society,
thank
we
you very
have to
much.
upskill that level and
I
work
take the role of
and
the
build
House
equal
Speaker.
together.
Um, I like to affirm that migrant workers are fellow human beings, and they help to drive our economy. So they should have rights and freedoms. It's about how the migrant worker comes here. Um, Apart from the cabinet resolutions, they have to be employers first. If we look at the Department of Employment's website, we find that uh, there are different types of migrant workers who are here, border area, daily border, the the commuter workers or the MOU workers, and there are also corruption involved. So that because the fee is so high, because of this corruption, we have to rely the workers have to pay a lot in order to get the papers to come here. It's not just a problem on Thailand, but in Myanmar as well. So first, we have to maybe repeal the emergency degree on the management of foreign workers. We have to repeal it or revise it, to change the recruitment system. And what about national security? There are certain provisions about the committee on the management of recruitment, and it's involved even the commander in chief or the ISO, the Internal Security Command. If you search, you find a lot of national security terms in the emergency degree. Um, the solutions have to be made step by step. We need to talk with people in Laos, Myanmar, um, Cambodia, making it easier for the workers to obtain the paper. I used to interview workers from Myanmar and Cambodia. They have to wait for 6 months before getting the papers to come here, and it takes quite a long time. Um, and the recruitment agencies cannot, put that pressure on the Burmese government, on the Myanmar government. So am I speaking too long? The question is only that have migrant workers taken away jobs from us? No, of course. We need to talk about getting nationality, and there are many bills being tabled to the parliament, even on abortion, because many of the bills are catered to only Thai citizens. Um, these basic rights, this access to basic rights, should not be restricted just to Thai citizens.
Next is คุณลูกเกดอืม คุณกันวีand คุณมอดนัย so from your the question on this is the migrant workers like come to take over of the jobs of the Thai people or not like I'm the MP candidate in Pathum Thani and we have a lot of thorough like industrial estates in Navanakon and in the Pathum Thani province we have labor networks like a labor networks in Rangsit area that I have worked with them for a while and the labor unions in Rangsit they really confirm that the migrant workers what the migrant workers are doing is there are three types of work jobs like intensive like labor intensive works for example the constructions the secondly is on the like dirty works and the third type is the risky works risky jobs these like three types of works or job like normally Thai people don't do much and from my like discussions exchange with different people in Pathum Thani and these jobs are what Thai people doesn't do anymore example the case of the chicken the poultry factory and also the part on fisheries and a lot of these jobs like Thai people don't do like don't work on this job anymore. So the migrant workers they don't really take over the jobs from Thai citizens. And the standpoint of the Move Forward Party, our policy for the migrant workers, we have firstly there are a lot of like a lot of transfers amongst the capitals and like why don't we hold on the principles of human rights to protect the rights of the migrant workers. Secondly, the rights of the migrant workers should be equal. Migrant and Thai workers should be equal because they are the ones who mobilize to support the Thai economy. And we also have to respect that. We have to admit that a lot of migrant laborers paying into the security social security system, but they didn't get the equal benefits as compared to the Thai citizen or Thai laborers. We have to advocate on this. And another issue is there's some business that like no workers like Thai workers working anymore like how we can really facilitate the process in terms of visa and work permit like to make it more easy for migrant workers and it would be addressed we solve the problems in terms of corruptions or also the human trafficking. And when I met with the migrant workers in Pathum Thani, and they really share that during the Chinese New Year, there are some of the they come to take like get the corruption briberies from the business owners. Our standpoint is like how we can really legalize it into the legal system and we can solve the corruption issues. And another 2 points that I want to share. So firstly, we have to ratify into the ILO conventions and 80 68 and 98, which is very difficult for the Thai state to sign and ratify that. The Thai state hasn't really ratified and signed to these ILO conventions. This is for the not only for the migrant workers, but it's also for the Thai laborers, Thai workers. That so that uh, the Thai workers can really mobilize themselves, really have their own assembly or own unions, because in the in this like Thai state hasn't really recognized the unions like the labor unions yet. So that's for both it will be benefit for both the Thai laborers and also migrant workers. Lastly, we need to have in terms of the national action plan on business and human rights. Thailand, we have the uh, action plans on human rights and business already, but it has been criticized. It's there's no protections like really implementations to protect the rights of the laborers. Like the business and investments has to protect the rights of the migrants, the workers, both like domestics and migrant work, like the national and migrant workers, and also it has to protect the human rights defenders too. For example, I would like to mention that one of the organizers, uh, PA, Kun Puchini, was also was under the lawsuits, has been under the lawsuits as a slap lawsuits. We have to review business and human rights national action plan to really implement. Lastly, I would like to applaud to the labor union. Thank you very much. I would like to give the encouragement to all laborers. We all brothers and sisters. Thank you very much.
Antonary. So briefly, I want to sell my point to um, uh, in response to the country. I um, I don't know. Well, we at present this the management of foreign workers because um, we put national security as the main concern. So and many employers prefer to use illegal migrant workers. So it is important that we need to go beyond this national security framework. I used to work with the National Security Council. Their perspective, their lens tend to view these people as irregular migrants. So they tend to look at the problem from this, national security framework. Then they look at them as irregular migrants. Um, so our recommendation, because to become part of to sign the ILO Convention 87 and 98, and also the Convention on Migrant Workers and their families. And also, this issue must be treated as a national agenda, that this well, so insofar the problems have been approached from this um, temporary solutions. We need some durable solutions on how we can take care of them, their health, and how migrant workers are violated. So we need to look at, we need to treat them well in our fronts, and we cannot look at it from the views points of national. We need a paradigm shift. We need um, to go beyond this illegal migration. We need to hinge on bilateral cooperation. Sorry, multilateral um, platform, and we have to go beyond this national security. We need to change this, and any party that uh, become part of the next administration, they have to look. We Thailand have to take the lead. If we only adhere to our traditional national security value, we have to take human rights as the guiding principle.
คุณwe give to คุณวรนัย first. Our problem is because of the like in the past, like you have the lot of like a like our countries, like we have the demarcate the lands and like having the nation states. In the firstly, like I talk about the human rights and also rights under the laws. Like human rights, it's considered regardless of your nationality or your race. But the problem is the rights under the law is very decisive, very differentiate and biased. How we can really solve this problem. What Chapanakla would like to solve this is outside the box of the tiger. We we should really follow the world when we have the. Can you imagine like let's assume? Can you imagine like a? I would like to like propose like a this passport, ASEAN passport. For example, the case of the Myanmar nationals who came to Thailand, they have the ASEAN passports. Like you cannot deny us if like in front of the. So like for the victims of trafficking said like yeah, we have the ASEAN passports, like you cannot really deny us anymore. The fundamental rights of human right is a right to live, life to breathe, like life to be able to continue to live, to breathe, to continue breathing. Don't have to free from the war or from threat. And another right is about the rights and freedom of movement. They cannot be limited from the borderlands. Like from this, like this issue can really solve by we can have the ASEAN passport. I don't think like we can be like the EU, European Union. But I know about it because my wife is the French national, so you need to have the right to live and right to move. I don't talk about the to sell the land or sell properties to the foreigners. I just like to talk about the right to live and freedom to move. so that we can have the ASEAN labels that can compete at the same levels and under the these liberal markets or liberal democracies. We have to compete. When we compete, we can progress, and our economy can be progressive, and we can develop our countries, and that makes the human rights to address the issues on the economy. And at the global community, we don't need to negotiate as our individual country. We can negotiate as a whole as ASEANs. That we have the rate of growth as the most. We don't have this group chat line, and we don't communicate each other. So ASEAN's member. But if we can use the regional integrations ASEAN, we can start with the ASEAN passport as ASEANs, and we can save the lives of those refugees and hundred thousands and millions of migrant workers, refugees, and victims of trafficking. And it will be helpful, will benefit to a lot of people and to ASEANs in the future. This is the approach. This is the way that we have to progress to. Thank you.
For the
And
next
we see
question,
that a lot of people asking about the questions.
role of
So
of
like
Thailand
to
in international
give more
community.
questions
Um,
about before we
we
talk
already
about the migrant workers.
discussed
There are
migrant
some
workers.
people
Now,
talking about
next we will go to refugees, asylum seekers, because we are not part of this refugee convention, but we are quite a big host of um, refugees from neighboring countries, particularly in the past couple of years that they came across our border, across the Sukhumvit River. They are facing this pushback from the Thai authorities, and there's some ramification on the Thai villages at the border. Because of this aerial attack in Myanmar, the jet fighters from Myanmar that hovers around and dropping the bombs that uh, send people to come over. How can we look after them? I mean, how will we treat them? This is the question. How will we treat these war refugees? Number one, how for these neighbors who have to run away from wars, and I mean, apart from the 90,000 people in existing temporary shelter, they've been here 30 years. We call it temporary shelter, but in fact, and many of them have fallen victims to trafficking in person as well. It's the people in temporary shelters. Um, so how can we deal with this? Refugees from Myanmar who run away from war. How should we treat them? As neighbors, as fellow human beings. And second, about the existing refugees in this temporary shelters. They've been here 30 years, 90,000 of them. How? Number three, what about the refugees or the Rohingyas, because I'm very much involved with them, or even the migrants from Shan State and elsewhere, or Africa who are become urban refugees. So, should Thailand sign the refugee convention now and recognize their refugee status? These three questions. Whoa. Right, please. I For the first question, um, uh, they did not take away jobs from us, um, because, as previous speakers said, there are 2.5 million migrant workers here, but um, uh, how many unemployed people are there in Thailand? Well, these migrant workers, we need them to come here. As I said earlier, that you know throughout the history, um, many countries initially rely on cheap labor. Um, Foxconn is now moving from China to Vietnam. So why don't we try to become the number one in the world, right? These migrant workers, and why don't we want to become a center in our ASEAN? And so I like to pitch this idea. And of course, we need to increase the rights of these migrant workers. They have to separate from their families. They send their remittance to their families. So there should be way to empower them, to help them, and now and hoping that we can recruit them to drive our future. I'm mentioning maybe Senegalese president, and he addressed that migrant workers are like a breakfast. Human rights for matters in mind, because in most of the this Senegalese president say human rights are like breakfast. So we should try to protect their rights. We should um, that will help grow our economy too.
So in terms of the refugee, we have to ratify the uh, regional conventions related to the refugees and migrants. We have to treat all migrants, all people as equal, regardless of their status, and the same standard. Their welfare, their safety, and also the food, and also shelters and health. It's about like we have to increase our capacities, not only for the for all people. This is also related to our policy on the on education. And with the migrant workers, we have discussed with migrant working groups. We would have the policies on the related to the ID card for the stateless people and for the migrant workers. It's very difficult to get it, and we have to facilitate this process, and we have to facilitate it, make them have justice too. Well, another thing is a one-stop service. For the migrant workers, we have to you have to speak right away, like how much the business or the migrant workers know, like how much they have to pay. It has been also to need to be decentralized to the different districts, different so according to the local areas, the local authorities and also the local business has to discuss and provincial chambers, they have to discuss all together and also with civil society organizations to decide the, for example, the case of Tak, Mae Hong Son, Chiang Rai, decentralized to the each province, each border areas. This is what Prashat we give competence, education, decentralizations, human rights, and the rights of the migrant workers. And also, thank you very much. This is the what we would like to summarize.
Maybe Sita want to address this. I like to say briefly, because as to migrant workers, I think we are think we are thinking for them, right? The union of the workers here. There are many Thai workers who are fight for the rights of migrant workers, and they don't think these migrant workers are taking away job from us. For example, um, in construction work, like to build a house for some, low skill jobs. Well, if you want something not so neat, then you can hire migrant workers. But now migrant workers have up their skills and then are no longer cheap labor. So the employers may want to pay less to these migrant workers. So what can we do? We have to up the skills. We have to increase the skill of these Thai workers to, you know, um, so we need to adapt to this environment, to the future environment. Workers themselves have to try to up their skills all the time, and and Thai people are engaged less in this, low skill work. So human rights must be a priority, and we need to decentralize the power and try to find the match between demand and supply. And then about pilots, because we used to discuss, well, when foreigners came, all the skirmishes at the Thai Myanmar border, why Thai jet fighters do not go up to quell, to protect people at the border. The thing is, our jet fighters, I used to work as a pilot of jet fighter. And some Thai pilot used to get lost into Laos, and the pilots say, well, my navigator, was out of order. So the thing is, when even though we trespassed their border, they didn't send the jet fighter to you know to to find us. The minorities, the jet fighters in Myanmar, they want to drop bombs on the ethnic minorities, and they know that if they hide themselves at this in this area, then they could get some protection. So they know that. So the Myanmar army know that if they drop bombs on them, they have to drop inside their territory. But when they have to fly past the territory of Thailand, but they just they violated the human rights of the minorities, but they did not really invade the airspace of Thailand. So we cannot say that they invaded Thai the Thai airspace. For example, when we stop at an intersection, Um, right, it's about the Air One try bombs and this Uyghur and thing that really cause panic and make and turn tourists away for many years. Last week, there was this jet fighter from Myanmar that also veered into the Thai airspace. Yeah, it's about there was there was an instruction for our F-16 to fly to warn that invading jet fighter. So there's some device to monitor the this kind of incursion into our airspace. So there might be some small incursion, but it's not really an invasion. It's not really, but of course they do violate the human rights of the ethnic minorities. We have to thank the media and the people last week when the our F-16 jet fighter went up to warn the incoming jet fighter. So we need to strike the balance between protecting human rights and our aspects. We of course we won't retaliate because we are not at war with Myanmar. They might veer off into the Thai airspace, but they did not really intend to strike at us. They they may took away some mango from our plantation, but we cannot just hit them for that.
So, I have another questions. You guys want to expand in terms of the relationship with the neighboring countries? We also have the like investments from Thailand to neighboring countries. Even, for example, the case of the sugarcane factories in Cambodia and other investments that might be relating to that, if you can say the uh, the corn plantations in Laos and in Cambodia that create the PM pollutions. Um, and what I heard from Equality Party and Sendai Party and Pentam Party that we have to ratify uh, into the international conventions. I really agree. Thank you for this information. But why we haven't signed or haven't ratified yet? The Thai government or Thai state should change our mindset and attitudes on uh, the people, displaced people from neighboring countries, especially Myanmar. We have to understand that the initial law doesn't allow us uh, to repatriate, to send back the uh, displaced people who free from the violence or uh, from threats to be returned back to the area or like a non-refoulement principles, so that we should not violate these non-refoulement principles. We have to respect the human rights. But in the case of Myanmar, it's more than that. What Thai government is doing this, we just allow the Myanmar Air Force, Myanmar plane to come to the Thai border. It is the kind of the special agreement from the uh, authoritarian or military government of Thailand with the military government of Myanmar that are working together. So the Thai government turned their eyes blind for the benefit of the military government in Myanmar. So that we have to have another mindset or have the different policy. We need to be empathetic. We need to have empathy to the people and all minorities of Myanmar who face the threats either having free from their country temporarily or in permanent. We shouldn't uh, return them. We shouldn't forcibly return them. We have to also to provide them the human rights and also provide them the support according to human rights. We shouldn't support any military intervention, military uh, equipment, but the way that we are doing, we have to protect the security, the safety of the people from the neighboring countries. But in terms of the people who are living in the refugee camps for more than 43 years, if I'm responsible, we should go together. I will try my best to advocate to for them to receive, to have the human rights, have the fundamental rights. Also, in terms of the foreign investments, cross-border investment from the Thai business that create the problems or facing the problems in neighboring countries. If they find if they face the problems, we will need to negotiate with the foreign governments, try to protect Thai business. We should protect the Thai business in that case. But the former government didn't have much agreements or collaboration with neighboring countries. So the Thai government after the election should be more proactive. In the case of the business create the problems in neighboring countries, this is the issue that we have to negotiate with the government in neighboring countries too. And we shouldn't talk about this. In some of the case of the pollutions, PM2.5 pollutions only come from the neighboring countries. It's in the northern region, northern Thailand, there's also the problems from within the country, from the burning of the lands, burning of the from the garbage, and also the burning of the of the plantations in the neighboring countries. We should also have the standard, have the regulations within the country in terms of the Thailand too, which is quite important issue too. When we we are really we didn't really work on the climate change much. If we have the regulations on this to prevent the the products from the foreign countries, we might need to do in the case of Singapore.
We have two coalition parties sitting here. Maybe Kiet from Democrat Party because the Democrat Party is part of the coalition party. What is the positions of the Thai government as far as these refugees are concerned? So, what should be our stand on this? Right, as part of this coalition party, it's a different matter because we are not really in the driver's seat. We simply control three ministries and not Ministry of Labor. So, frankly speaking, we don't agree with many cabinet resolutions. I strongly disagree with many issues, many decisions made. So, listening to all these issues, I think it might get confused because we have illegal migrant workers or refugees. We cannot give them all of them equal rights to us, particularly if they are here illegally. No countries in the world would give them equal rights. So we can only regularize them. We can only make them live here legal, work here legal. Yeah, this true in our business sector. And after they become regularized, then we can, ensure they receive the protection according to the international obligations. And then we are part of this 19 international conventions. And these migrants will certainly afford the rights almost equal to the Thai nationals if they become legalized. And for national security, we can use drones. We can use the satellite image, to prevent any corruption and thing. Number two, it's about the refugees. In all, whether we are signatory to the refugee convention or not, we treat them the best. But the last answer is we cannot take them. We cannot always, try to um, resolve. We, the international community have to take their responsibility to. Um, I discuss with various countries and they understand. They never blame Thailand. They even try ask their country if they can help because countries have to offer to provide resettlement to these people. Thailand cannot deal with this issue alone. Another thing is about Thai investments board, the foreign standing committee, the foreign affairs standing committee. We summon people to ask about this hydropower project and how a lack of environmental impact assessment, and the impact on the Mekong River. What can we do? First, because they are Thai business that invested abroad, the NEPO, the ONEP, the Office of National Energy Policy, the that if they don't conduct this EIA, then the ONEP, the ONEP should not approve their project. Number two, if they are listed company and if they are engaged in environmental destruction, this is not feasible. Number three, there must be ASEAN framework. As far as we have discussed, we only discussed about this haze problem like 16 years ago. The problem started in Indonesia and in southern Thailand. Now it's spread to Myanmar, Bangladesh, and of course there are many hotspots in Thailand too. We need to address the problem using both power, pressure. We have to have the policy to help our farmers to dissuade them from burning their crops, like in other countries. Other countries wouldn't buy products from the country engaged with burning. So will it affect our countries in ASEAN, particularly the CLMV in Southeast Asia? Possible. We need to discuss an agreement with them, uh, and the COP, the COP. We need to reach an agreement within the ASEAN framework.
So as I'm also the coalition party of my coalition party in the previous government, like our party working on the employment issues and the issue was refugees and migrant workers, the new things to me. But what I can really guarantee is like I'm ensure that like my government can be my party can be the government, and all the proposals or the recommendations I will really bring into our policy. Our motto is like to listen and to do, listen and action. So you can come to our party anytime. In terms of the environment, Kumara Sinpa as the like minister of the environment, and he's the one who tried to solve the climate change, like working on the Paris Agreement. And Thailand and Switzerland has a carbon credit trade concretely in the global level. Like we don't really promote on this. Like we really have facility in Kuala and he graduated from the engineers, mechanical engineers and finance. So he used this into changing, like into solve the climate change issues. And then climate change issue is really affect to the local people, local communities, and the elements become like monsters. The PM 2.5 pollutions, like in different countries, happen differently. If you see like all people are facing the pollutions around the world. In Bangkok, like in Bangkok, this problem is reduced already. As I mentioned, as Thai Party said, like all the policy that you mentioned, like it's not necessarily unless you become the government. So Thai Patana is will be the government.
My hands are shaking because I'm ready to for the battle. It's about this cross-border trade. I like to expose about this National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights. We have the obligation to protect, and this is clearly written in the NAP that we have the obligation to protect migrant workers, vulnerable groups, human rights defenders, and the state is obliged to, assign the duties, the powers. So what have they done until now? That Thailand has been raising the awareness, giving training without really following up. How agencies implement it. Number two is about respect. That basic principle is do no harm. Don't do, do no harm. Don't commit any harm. But in Thailand, we find that um, uh, like these migrant and last remedy, because once we we say the Thai kitchen and global kitchen, because we rely on monocultures like crop, sugarcane plantations, and eventually the Thai businesses move their investment to our neighboring countries. So they have been condemned by these business and human rights coalitions. There's this advertisement that um, again this sugarcane plantation in Cambodia, in our neighboring countries. So, and there have been this trade protectionism, this tax barrier. Um, we tend to be wanting to show off as the champion of the environment. Our prime minister want to shake hand with the world leaders, and Thailand simply want to tout themselves as as being the first country to have the national action plan on business and human rights, but um, but they haven't done anything, you know, seriously, and businesses are obliged to um, monitor to conduct this due diligence. Um, and many people are beating around the bush. So if the Equality Party become um, get a seat in the parliament, we will watch that at least we have to ratify, we have to sign these conventions. At least we can be held accountable. At least Thailand can be held accountable. This will boost our dignity. And so, which parties are advocating for this signing? This is very useful for our country.
Oh, so previously, like many people has might not understand what I have discussed earlier, and what if we don't cross the border, doesn't mean like no people can cross the borders to trade, but if we still accept the situation that there's illegal migrants coming to the Thailand, or there's agency process, the corrupt agency process, like we cannot really solve this problem, these issues, and and all the problems that we discussed in terms of it's all related. The issue on pilots are like the airplanes, and like the military, the security forces only didn't really pay their roles. They only like being the corrupt on the border. So the role of military, they should play the role to protect the border, and we have to prevent the illegal migrants, illegal crossings. We have to legalize. We have to get them, tax them, and how to make them really be into the social security system. You have to pay the tax because they don't being here like for free. So if they are being together like us, like they will have a similar, like we will have the common uh give the pay less like respect commonly on for their human rights, like to make it into the on the ground, not to make those underground activities to be on the ground. Like it would be make us understand better system and like to be more transparent. For example, uh like every year the illegal migrants has to pay like at least 20,000 baht. If we have like around millions migrant workers, it will be like a they will have to pay like a 20,000 million baht per year. We have to make the soldiers military to be the fence of the country and not to intervene and involve in any other issues. Thank you.
Right. Um, it's about refugees briefly. Without discussing refugees, we need to understand well concretely and abstractly. Abstractly, we tend to look at between we and them and our long history. We are we tend to treat them as outsiders, and we tend to treat them based on their identities. So Thailand look at refugees as nationality as a threat, and so um, there is yet any legal refugees in Thailand. We haven't, recognized any refugee in Thailand yet. The laws until now, the Immigration Act 1979 uh, function as a buffer state buffer zones to manage immigrants. Anyone who enter the country can be treated illegally. Refugees or migrant workers, they are put into one basket. So there is not really any legal avenue to treat them as legal refugees. So without such law, we at present we have this NSM, the National Screening Mechanism, the MSM. Uh, has already been published in the Common Gazette, and it will come into force very soon. So it's good that we have this regulation on these migrants, on the refugees, and at least we have a definition of refugee, and the concept of non-refoulement is included in this Prime Minister Office regulation. Of course, it's a different class to the Immigration Act, but at least because all of them who came here, they have to be first treated by this Immigration Act, and they are subject to deportation. Um, they cannot just jump from the parachute to undergo this NSM thing. So it's good that at least we have this specific law to treat the refugees, and our party believe in signing this refugee convention 1951 and its 1967 protocol. And as I work in different countries for the UNHCR, I believe that our country have the potential to review the status, the applications of this status, and to facilitate the resettlement. And what about these 90,000 people in the temporary shelters? Well, some people ask, should we shut down all these temporary shelters. But these temporary shelters have been set up, and they are under the charge of the Ministry of Interior. They are not supposed to go outside the camp. They cannot uh, land any job or go to the school. There are three issues. Number one, they could be repatriated. Number two, they local assimilation. Number three, resettlement. Now we only hinge on two solutions: voluntary repatriation and resettlement. We haven't yet follow up this local assimilation because we fear about this. We have these concerns about national security. So first thing first, to address the refugees problem, we need to bridge the gap between and development. Um, when there is there are no we and them, and people who sincerely want to work. The Minister of Labor can issue a regulation to allow these people without CI to work because they cannot return to their country. How could they apply for CI? So the Ministry of Labor have to be engaged. They can issue a regulation to allow them to work. The Thai legal system has to be made flexible. If we say we will open up for them to work, 40, 50,000 when they want to leave the temporary shelters to work, and then these shelters can be shut down permanently, and these people can pay taxes to the Thai government. Yeah, we have additional 40, 50,000 workers to you know, to work for our economy. So from the humanitarian, so if we open the temporary shelters, I think we can shut it down.
So, like it's an issue from Kun Kanavi that discussed around the refugee that there's some issue that every political parties might not know in terms of the uh, immigration law. For example, the case of Uyghur people who were like around like 200 Uyghur people that I found that they are found in Songkhla province, and I have covered the stories. Some of them were resettled into Turkey, but some people were returned to China, and still like 60 people have stayed in the detention center for more than 8 years already. 8 years, and they were in this detention center at the immigration bureau, immigration office. It's I feel sad that they're still there, and I would like to raise this issue for all parties that might be in the parliament on the refugees and the Thai business, cross-border business. I really agree about on the issues on the refugee that to accept to endorse and ratify all international obligations. Like if we look at about the refugees, like we can see that like for the case of the Myanmar refugees, like for more than 40,000 people, it's not happening in the blue. Like it happened because of the warring state. Like in like in 1989 and just like in 1980s, like there was the wars between the ethnic armed groups and Myanmar military. So that the case of refugee we cannot organize as a humanitarian issue, but we still need the foreign policy. We need the foreign and international pressures against the on the not only for the Thai government but also uh, case of the uh, 1980s refugee issues in the on the Cambodia. It has been solved. It was solved because of the internal politics in Cambodia has solved. So the case of Myanmar, still the peace process and the problems, internal problem of Myanmar still there. So we still need to solve the problem inside Myanmar first in order to solve the refugee problem. The case, another issue on the cross-border investment. Case of the corn plantation. It's not under the control of the Myanmar military, but it's under the control of the ethnic armed groups. For example, the care in the area of Mysore and to Mae Hong Son, we can see a different posts that receive the selling to trade for the corns. So there's some of the investments so traders receive the contract farmers product from the contract farmers uh, from the other side of the border from Myanmar. And there's a case. There is also a case of the gray business, illegal business too. I also agree with Kun Kiat that we should have a standard to manage these issues. And what our party, the Communist Party, we would like to propose that we have to raise awareness to the people to understand and to be empathetic to the on the issues, and on that we can really fight against the business, the big business that invests in our neighboring countries. For example, in Myanmar, I really admire the Myanmar activists that they really ban the business of the Myanmar military, and I found that they're really active and really strong. So we can really put the pressure from the people to the business that like that. Thank you.
I said Sita Sita want to address the questions about this illicit trade. Um, about during the COVID pandemic, there was this migration between in the West. You have to pay like 10,000 baht during the border shutdown when they so it's divided half and half between the Myanmar and Thai authorities, and so it's about 5,000 people per day crossing in and out during the COVID lockdown. So that actually happened. Yeah, workers continue to cross between the border with 10,000 baht, and there is yeah, for the whole thing would cost each worker 25,000 baht. This helped to spread COVID-19 in the second round, the second wave. So this illicit trade does exist, and the casinos, about 50 casinos around our country, 7 in Poi Pet, and how they use Thai money in the casinos. There are agents to take Thai people. There, the Thai gamblers, and yeah, crossing by natural pass or the checkpoint. So yeah, we do have casinos for a long time, but they simply not located in the Thai territory. Of course, we have illegal gambling dens. We have illegal casinos and brothels. You can go to whichever province in the countries and just ask local drivers to take you to one of these um, casinos or brothels. But of course, if you ask the provincial governors, then they know nothing about these brothels, about the environment, the air pollution in the past 2 weeks in the north um, has caused about 170,000 more people who suffer from diseases from air pollution is PM 2.5 that has stemmed from the burning of the plantation. Maybe 40% come from within our country, 60% from neighboring countries. And this company are from Thailand. And if the government is sincere, um, in the next couple of days, um, we will show Prayut how can we solve this problem.
I would like to add in terms of the regulations on being strict on the illegal migration, illegal crossings. We have this new circumstance in Myanmar. We shouldn't be strict, too overly strict, on the migrations from Myanmar. Also, the case of Uyghur people, like illegal illegal migration in the country, like for the Uyghur people, we should try to bring them out of the detention center. With the border scale for the Myanmar people, we shouldn't forcibly return them. And also, for the case of the illegal migrants, we need to use the new paradigm and new frameworks or new mindsets, which should ask the question why the industry needs like 6,000 workers, but we cannot really find it yet. But we have like 500,000 migrant, like illegal migrant workers. Why we cannot match this? Like if the worker doesn't have any criminals record, we should make them legalized. In terms of the border crossings in the national border crossings, I think that it it would be it would create a negative consequence because people from the border, like having the passports or the permits, we can't really cross the border. But why we close the border? In the future, the people shouldn't be present any IDs, or like if we said that tell the security force to seal or to close the border, it will make them become more corrupted. They will have more corruptions. we need to like with the vaccinations also with during the COVID, we actually have the post in the on the borders and open for them to people like people to be able to like have the vaccine too. Actually, the military, the police, and the immigration bureau is the source of problem.
I agree with Jaturon that if we tighten up too much, if we shut down the border, it will only serve the interest of the military. But if we don't do anything today, at least we have to start from amending the Immigration Act. I used to work as a lawyer for, illegal migrant worker. Uh, is it's like an area where even the immigration officers have no power over. Um, so first, we cannot do nothing. We have to first amending the Immigration Act. Second, amending the emergency decree on the management of foreign workers. Uh, and we need to discuss with the military authorities. We cannot just give them exclusive power, but now the militaries are engaged with the trade. They are acting like the human smugglers. So I agree with the regularization of the workers, and that's how we can collect more money, more fees from them. That will become public revenue. So
Will you talk shortly about the refugee? So, the policy of our party, Move Forward Party, like we have the position to really enter, like to be a party of the status of the refugee convention that support the refugees and the borders and also the urban, like more than 5,000 refugees in the urban refugees that they can receive the support, like welfare support. Another policy is I would like to uh, the issues on the non-refoulement policies as a and with the NSM policy, the national screening mechanism policies, like we have to review this the national screening mechanism policy, like in terms of the procedures, the the screening mechanisms. We found that it's they they only adhere to the non-refoulement principle, but in one of their regulations, I'm not sure which number. There's a conditions that if the state find it is might affect to the national security, they can return. They can forcibly return the refugees. So, and if we look at the composition of the NSM committee, majority of the committee members are from the security sectors. So it might affect to the trust and also the attitudes, trust of the refugee themselves and the attitudes of the committee themselves towards the refugee. And also and the case of the like frustrations of the humanitarian support assistance for the refugees in the borders. It has to go through like a Thai government or Thai security officers, and we don't know that like if the humanitarian support, humanitarian assistance would reach to the uh, directly to the refugees themselves or displaced people themselves. And another issue is the many people might say that if you receive the a lot of refugees, the Thai government has to bear the like has to uh, bear the burden. But in reality, a lot of support for refugees, they are from the foreign governments and international support, the support from the international communities. And I just came to know that some of the refugee camps, the uh, uh, like I I just found that some of the refugees, like some of the NGO, international NGOs, has to pay the uh, the rent to the Thai government for the refugee camps too. And in terms of the budget, in the 2020, UNHCR have the budget for uh 200 450 million baht. But the Thai government, especially the uh, Ministry of Interior, only have the budget for supporting the refugee for only like 4 million baht. This is the myth that we need to really demystify.
Right, Mr. Kasipirom, former Minister of Foreign Affairs. As part of this politician, I first like to wish well to Kunsita, to become part of the coalition next term. And don't forget that the Democrat Party has become smaller every day. Or the Chathai Pattanagra might still be a small party unless they can come up with some populist um, gimmicks. Right now, we are there. There. Our political parties seem to be competing on populist policies, and none of them has proposed any solid foreign affairs policy. First, I like to inform you that I and Jaturon are part of this ASEAN Parliamentary for Human Rights civil society whose members are sitting MPs or former MPs, and they are we are individually members, not no affiliation with the party, and we want to advocate for human rights. And I invite all of you to become members of the APH. And number two, I used to sit in the board of Liberal International, which has Kiet as the vice chairperson. We are part of this Liberal Democrats with the headquarters in London. And Kiet and I used to work as part of this executive committee of this Council of Liberal Democrats in South in Asia Pacific with the headquarters in Manila. So I invite all of you to become members of this Liberal Democrats Council to You need to be liberal Democrats and don't veer off into dictatorship. Come if you already veer off into dictatorships, come back. Number three, in the past couple of months, I was invited to become part of the board of directors of Border Consortium. It's a consortium of about 12 NGOs receiving funding from the US and British governments to oversee these 12 nine temporary shelters. It's about 700 to 800 million dollars the budget, and we have to work with the Ministry of Interior, about how. And so I want to really plead to all of you to stay united to convince the next administration and the parliament to change the status quo of the temporary shelters because they have no chance to return to Myanmar, which is in the midst of war. We discussed this with Aung San Suu Kyi or the semi-civilian governments. We talked with them, but now this civil war seems to be protracted, so it's just impossible to deport them, to repatriate them, and resettlement is now difficult. Japan and other countries do not want to resettle this country, even countries in Europe. So this, or even Turkey, also facing, influx of refugees. So many countries cannot are not open for additional resettlement. So what can we do with these children born in the temporary shelters? Uh, can we can we turn them into Thai part of the Thai population? They can work, they can pay taxes because now we are an aging society, aging population, and I am part of this aging population too. So we need to assimilate these 90,000 people into Thai society, and our political body should convince the prime minister and the authority to open the border to allow them to come. This is not a burden to us because there are different countries who are willing to give them money to help this out. But these SME businesses along the border, they can sell products to help the refugees and also across the border. And we will get the money from the ADB and the World Bank, which is supposed to be the aid, development aid but now is being seized by the banks. We can negotiate with the ADB and the World Bank, Japan and the US in order to facilitate the flow of this money from the ADB and World Bank to fund the procurement of medicines and things. And then it's about security. We need to do away with this concept, this National Security Council and the loyal Thai police. We are no longer in the Cold War. We are not under the threat of the Cold War. The term security is simply what the all the many authorities are earning themselves from corrupt practice. Uh, we they issue some illegal papers and charge these refugees a lot of money, maybe 300 baht a month along the border. This national security is really an issue that they can exploit for their personal interests, for their corrupt practice. This, yeah, they all lie that they lie by saying that they don't know anything about the existence of this corruption. So all these MP candidates in the 7, 8 provinces along the border must be knowing all this information. So I sit as a board of the TBC and the APHR. I used to be director of the International Department of International Organizations. I used to be part of this National Security Council, which is more clever than now. So we have to come up with some policies to address the issue. We cannot just, ratify the Refugee Convention. Right now, we have a new UN convention responsibility to protect a resolution of the UN Security Council that we can be a part of, where we cannot say that our political leaders do not know all this. We have the we are in the capacity to do this, and I keep briefing many foreign diplomats in Thailand. So, and last but not least, for ASEAN, we are ASEAN community. So this free fall of movement, that it shouldn't be prevented by the immigration rules. Since we become a community, um, ASEAN community, we should facilitate the free fall. And last, we used to be part of the opposite government. We reached an agreement with Israel to send workers to Israel, and there was no corruption during that time. And we have the MOU with Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia. We can convert it into some G2G agreement, and the Thai government should meet with the Chamber of Commerce, and uh, we should reach out to this uh, and in order to do away with the corruption. Hmm?
Unfortunately, like we have thanks to Kun Kasit's comments, and unfortunately we have very short period, and and then Kun Kasit has summarized all our recommendations, our discussions. We have spent time quite enough. Kun Hai would like to. So, Kun Charan, thank you for Kun Charan. He will go, and Kun Kiet. Then we need to go to the political campaign, the election campaign. Thanks to Kun Kiet and Kun. And last part on the PM 2.5 pollutions. Because we breathe these pollutions every day, and if the government cannot really solve the origin, like the source of the issues, the source of problem, then they cannot really control and regulate the business, the big business. As I would like to speak on behalf of the people from the northern region. Like we cannot really live, we cannot really breathe. Thank you very much. Oh,
I I I, I once worked as a pilot, and on behalf of the right,